Hi, episode 18. Jen Murphy back again. I just had a weekend with my lovely buddy Christina Walkinshaw in Lake Tahoe. So fun. Um, but that's not what I'm going to talk about. Um, I'm very unprepared for this podcast, as usual. But I think what I need to talk about this week is um, I guess I don't know the right words to describe it, but it's probably like status or self, maybe self respect, self esteem, feeling like what you deserve in life might be. I hope this is recording. Sometimes I hit the wrong buttons. So for the past couple months, I'm afraid of who's listening to this but I'm just going to be honest. The past couple months, I've hooked up with a few men who I have no emotional connection to, really, except for one who was around before COVID started. I feel like I've been putting myself out there to people who I don't have to worry about getting emotionally attached to. And I'm not sure if it's a good thing or a bad thing. It's a good thing in a way, but then I've also been like putting myself out a lot. But that might just be coming off of COVID and being alone for so long. I've kind of like gone a little crazy with the sexual activity of just wanting to have fun and not give a shit. And then this past weekend, I hooked up with a guy who might actually have some potential in the future. And I hung out with him Saturday and there was some sexual activity. And then as soon as I was home on Sunday, I think my brain kind of like freaked out and I immediately text like three other guys that I've hooked up with and nothing happened. None of them came over or anything. But the fact that I just immediately like text three different people to try and distract myself from possibly liking or having a potential relationship with a new person, which I don't know if it would turn into a relationship, but I'm sorry if this is confusing. What I'm trying to say is, I think my brain like freaks out at the thought of somebody who actually might be relationship material. And then I'm like, no, just go back to all these guys that are completely not relationship material. And I don't know if that's self destructive. I mean, I think it is. If, uh, I feel like I don't even know it has to do with age. I was gonna say it's because I'm older. I should probably want a relationship, but I don't think it has to do with age. I think it's just the deep fear that happens when you meet somebody that might actually be relationship material. I don't feel good about the people that weren't relationship material. I don't feel bad about them, but I'm also like, what am I doing? Nothing's coming of this. You're just trying to get some instant gratification. from a one night stand that gratification doesn't last. It's only in the moment. But then if I meet somebody where there could be like a long lasting, then I'm like, no, destroy it, run away. Because then there could be actual like pain involved. There's pain involved with one night stands sometimes where you just wake up like, what am I doing? This isn't good. Why did I do that? And then it goes away. But then to meet somebody where there's actual like, if you do get, if I do get emotionally involved, it feels like the pain could be a lot worse. And that terrifies me. Relationship pain is probably the most terrifying thing for me. I mean, it's like as a comedian, I could go in front of a crowd of 300 people or 500 people or whatever it is, have a bad set. Maybe they don't like you. They don't like me. Sorry, I'm trying to keep this personal and I keep saying you instead of me. And it's like, well, those 500 people didn't like me. But then to emotionally open myself up to one person who might not like me is the most terrifying. I don't know if I'm going to put this one out. If it ends up going out, it does. But I feel like I'm just rambling at this point. This is what I do every week. But yeah, I feel like after it's just like self-sabotage, I guess. It's like I can't be with this person. I need to be alone. I need to be alone. I need to focus on my career. I need to not like somebody. It's always fun in the beginning. It's always so fun in the beginning. And then I feel like, I don't know. This is, I mean, I think any relationship is just like a 50-50. I mean, you're either going to stay together for a long time or you're going to break up. There's really there's no middle ground. You either really work or things are great for the first month or two. And then people get weird. Everyone's on their best behavior in the beginning. And then all of a sudden, it's like there's going to be fighting and weirdness. And now I can't go to my favorite bar that I met you at because you hang out there and now I can't hang out there. Or, we work together, but now we can't work together because shit's weird. I have a tendency to meet people who I work with because that's what I do. I go out every night as a comedian. I meet people I work with. But then just the whole like don't shit where you eat kind of mentality. But how am I going to date somebody that doesn't have the same interest as me? I mean, I guess it's possible. I could date somebody who's like a doctor. We have not that we have nothing in common, but we don't share the same. But I tend to gravitate towards the same creative personas as me. I think it's I think any it might be different for different for other professional people, But I think as a comedian, the lifestyle is I'm out at night. I mean, that sounds weird to say now because for the past year I haven't been, but it's getting back to normal. And look, I have a show Saturday where it doesn't start till 10:30, so I'm going to be out till 12:30 at least. So I think that's why it's hard to imagine dating somebody who is maybe like a 9 to 5 person and goes to bed at 9 p.m. Or maybe that'd be easier because then I just leave when they go to bed. But I don't. You have to. It's like you just have to have somebody who, even just traveling, going on the road. It's a male dominated profession, so majority of the time I'm with other males. So then somebody I date has to be okay with me always hanging out with other male comics, which I think is hard to find. Yeah, it's just a weird the hours are weird. It's just a weird, I don't know. It's not impossible, but now I feel like I'm making excuses because it's not even probably about the hours. I think it's just getting emotionally involved with somebody. It's so terrifying to like put your trust in another human and be like, I'm going to trust you not to emotionally destroy me. I'm going to trust you to have complete respect for my feelings and not fuck me over. I guess that's the hardest part. Once you make yourself completely vulnerable, and you're like, I'm gonna open myself up and not and hope that you're cool with it. And you never know if one day someone's gonna be like, nah, fuck off. I'm not into you anymore. It didn't used to feel so scary when I was younger. But I guess nothing used to seem so scary when I was younger. When I was younger, I never had fear that I was going to like throw myself off a bridge, which I do now. So I don't know. This might be the worst podcast I ever put out. I also probably say that every week. Anyway, I'm going to do it. I'm going to try it. It's so interesting because I bet anybody that's in a long-term relationship would be like, we would love to be in your position. Just go out and date, fuck around, have fun. And then anybody that's out like me, dating and fucking around is like, terrified. It's like, do you want to be completely numb in a mediocre relationship? Or do you want to be terrified, constantly entering new relationships that may or may not work out? I don't know which is worse. It's Memorial Day. That has nothing to do with anything. BR. I think part of the problem is that when you get older, when I was younger, there was no I don't know. It was always just like it seemed like an endless supply of possibilities. maybe. I feel like as I get older, if a relationship doesn't work out, then it's like, oh well, I guess I'm alone forever, which is not true. But I guess it feels like it's just, I don't know. Sometimes I meet a guy and I'm like, I don't want to tell him my age because I feel old. And I'm like, am I just like this pathetic middle-aged woman who's like still desperately trying to connect? I'm torn because at the same time I don't want to be in a relationship because like I have so many connections I can make. I mean, I decided a month and a half ago that I was done with COVID and then I was going to go out and start meeting men, and I've met so many. I don't know if it's the pheromones I'm putting out, but I just go out, not even really looking. I take my computer out to the bar across the street from my house and I'd start writing, and I've just randomly met so many people. So it's hard to even, I mean, I like the connections. I like meeting a lot of different people and learning about them. But is it worth it if you only learn about them for a night or two and then nothing really comes of it? I feel like I'm just still so torn between the random hookups or whether I want to have like a deep relationship with somebody. I don't know. It's really hard to decide too after COVID and being alone for a whole year. There's definitely a tendency to just want to make out with a lot of people. But then I also like somebody who's going to text me every day. Be like, "How you doing? How's it going?" This might be the worst podcast I've ever put out, but I'm going to do it anyway. This is why I keep doing it. Because if your brain is as fucked up as mine, you might understand something I'm saying, or you might not. And you might be like, this girl sucks, which is okay. I got nothing to lose anymore. I got nothing to lose. I mean, I got a lot to lose, but not really that much to lose. All right. It's going to be a really short podcast, too. Because I think that's all I really wanted to talk about. It's the fact that I met somebody. Maybe something will happen. Or maybe I'll self-sabotage. I will keep you posted. Or if you listen to Jill and Off, the Jill and Off podcast, you'll be updated on that one as well. I mean, I only really got a few years left to keep doing this behavior. And I think that might be why I'm doing it. I've never hooked up with this many guys in my past this quickly. In the last 2 months, I've gone a little crazy, but you know what? I think it's a combination, like maybe a midlife crisis combined with COVID. I've just gone a little crazy. The problem is you can't keep the feeling. You can't carry it over when it's just a one night stand. If it's an actual like potential relationship and somebody's texting you and you go out on dates, you can keep that momentum going. You can keep that feeling going. But a one night stand feels good in the moment. And then when it's over, I feel like it's almost like more emptiness than you felt before it even happened. Like if I'm really horny and I decide I'm gonna have a one night stand, hook up with the guy, it might be great for those few moments. But then the next day, if I never talk to him again, like the emptiness just gets deeper. It's a deeper sadness than it was before I hooked up. The loneliness is worse because I'm like, well, I hooked up with him for a second. It was fun, but now I'm never going to hear from him again. It's not, there's no connection at all. Anyway, thanks for tuning in. It's another inspiring week. This past weekend was actually really inspiring. Christine always has a phrase of a high frequency, which I completely agree with. I think surrounding yourself, we were hanging out with the guy that I hooked out with. It's very high frequency, very he's a successful person who's doing stuff, and I definitely think that makes a difference. Than just hooking up with some random dude. I don't want to judge people on what they're doing, but it definitely makes a big difference to surround yourself with people who are working, who are doing stuff, who are motivated, who are constantly trying to improve themselves. So that's my goal. To surround myself with high frequency people. And Christina taught me that. I love you, Christina. If you're watching, I love you, Christina. All right. It's a short one, but I did it. I achieved my goal to record a podcast tonight, and I did it. So achieve your goals, even if they're short ones.